Kumeyaay land, here we must center the language and the people of the land, and every place in California, we must do that. How do we keep our language alive? By teaching it to everyone who's living on our land. I want to hear the language of the land taught in every public school. When a student learns about the indigenous plants that have been harvested in their region for centuries, they might develop a deeper connection to their local ecosystem. When they understand the governance systems of local Native nations, they gain new perspectives on civic engagement and sovereignty. And when they hear the languages that have named the rivers, the mountains, the valleys of California since time immemorial, they experience this place with new awareness and respect. These educational transformations ripple outward, changing how families talk about history at home, how communities commemorate shared heritage, and ultimately how policy decisions are made at local, state, and national levels. I commit to supporting AB 1703's implementation by continuing to develop materials for our teachers, our students, and our parents. Whether you're an educator, a parent, a student, a tribal leader, or simply a community member who cares about truth and justice, I invite you to consider, what will your contribution be? Perhaps you'll advocate for adequate funding for curriculum development in your school district. Maybe you'll volunteer to facilitate connections between local tribes and schools. You might share resources from our booth today with educators in your life, or you could simply commit to learning more about the indigenous peoples of California or in your region and share that knowledge with others. Whatever form your commitment takes, know that it matters, because this work, the work of honoring Native histories, cultures, and futures, is not a special interest project. It's not DEI, so let's get that straight. We were here long before anybody else. We have the political sovereign right as the First Nations people to make sure that our language, culture, governance continues forever. It is essential to building a California where every child knows the truth about their home and where the truth becomes the foundation for healing and justice and belonging. So Antonio Garra gave his life for a vision of indigenous sovereignty and dignity. Today we honor his legacy not just through remembrance, but through action, through our collective commitment to transforming education in ways that recognize and respect Native peoples, past and present. As we leave this gathering today, let us carry forward the spirit of resistance and resilience that Garra embodied. Let us approach the implementation of legislation like AB 1703 not as a burden, but as an opportunity to build a more truthful, just, and inclusive California for all of our children. The real work happens in classrooms and tribal offices, in school board meetings and community gatherings, in the countless conversations that will shift our collective understanding of what it means to be Californian. Thank you for being a part of this journey and spending your Saturday honoring Antonio Garra's memory through your presence that shows the commitment. And thank you for believing, as I do, that through education rooted in truth and respect, we can build a future worthy of our ancestors and our children. And before I get off the stage, I wrote a poem for Antonio Garra Day. So indulge me as I read this poem. It's called Reclaiming Our Stories, Honoring Antonio Garra. I teach my children your name, Antonio, not as history, frozen in textbook margins, but as breath still moving through our lungs, as resistance coded in our DNA. They wanted your story buried with your bones, your coalition scattered like smoke, but mothers like me have become keepers of truth, too dangerous to forget. In 1851, they called you rebel, troublemaker, when you simply asked, why should we pay taxes on our own land, land we never sold and land that we never surrendered? Your question still echoes across these hills. I trace your legacy in my classroom, where California history begins not with missions, but with peoples who's named these mountains, these rivers, these valleys, since time beyond memory. My daughter asks why your name isn't in her school books. I tell her we are writing new ones. I tell her when they try to erase us, our ancestors hid stories and songs, in dances, in whispers passed between generations. When I speak at school board meetings, when I develop curriculum that tells our truths, when I teach my students their own power, your spirit stands with me, Antonio. You gathered nations together when they wanted us divided. You saw strength in unity when they bet on the fracture. They executed you in 1852, believing your vision would die with you. They did not understand that some flames can never be extinguished, only pass forward. Now we fight with legislation instead of arrows, with classroom instead of battlefields, with memory as most sacred weapon against the violence of forgetting. I place your name in AB 1703, between lines of policy and procedure, a heartbeat within legal language, reminding us why this matters. Antonio Garra, coalition builder, I am your descendant in spirit, gathering allies across difference, teaching my children the power of their voices. In my work as an educator, as a mother, as carrier of stories nearly lost, I honor not just what you did, but what you dreamed possible. The land remembers you, Antonio, and so do we. Nashun Lovik.
Of course, I was at the farthest away. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. But anyway, again, let's hear it for Dr. Jolie Proudfit. She is like one of the most awesomest people I know. Don't let her size fool you. She is a fireball. She will keep you on your toes. She does that with me all the time. And the thing is, she does it in a really nice way too. She tells me what I'm doing wrong, and I almost feel good about hearing it. The way she does it, she's just incredible. She's have a lot of experiences, and I knew she'd have a wealth of information for all of us, and I'm glad you're all able to hear that. So now we have Intertribal Bird Singers. Intertribal Bird Singers. I shouldn't have told them about the burritos, but our exhibitors, remember there's some burritos back here provided by the San Diego Chamber of Commerce. They're awesome. I had an opportunity to test them. They're definitely worth eating. They're good. And after the Intertribal Bird Singers, we'll be having some people speak from the Bonsu Unified School District, including Dr. Heather Golly. So meanwhile, we got Intertribal Bird Singers.
Hello, we're the Intertribal Bird Singers. We're from various reservations throughout North County, San Diego, Riverside County. These songs are social. They were taught to us by Mr. Robert Levi. He was from the Torres Martinez Senior Reservation, and these were his clan songs. So we're very fortunate enough that he passed these on down, and to carry on his legacy. And I was one of the youngest one in his group, so I have the honor of carrying on his name. The Intertribal Bird Singers, that was Mr. Robert Levi. That was his group. So we're carrying on his legacy and doing what we can to keep these songs going, and the youth are learning them a lot more. So, and these bird songs were almost gone in the 80s, and now it's there's a big thrive that came back, so it's pretty good. He did a lot with the youth and with us, so that's how we honor him by carrying this on. So And these songs are also social. So if you guys want to come up, you guys are familiar with bird singing, the women dancers, you guys want to come in the front, you guys are more than welcome to come on up and join in. I think we're going to sing about maybe 45 minutes or so, something like that. So thank you. Here we go.
So